Hi everyone, it's Alex Rushdie, aka Goji Guy from Control All Monsters. I'm here to talk about Dariusburst ACEX Plus. So, one of the first times I ever played a Darius game was back in 2012 when Dariusburst ACEX was first released in arcades. I was in Japan and the cabinet just looked so incredibly cool, so I gave it a whirl. And as a beginner player, I really appreciated how forgiving the shield system was and how cool the visuals and characters were. But I wouldn't really dig into the Darius series until many years later. And I didn't touch Dariusburst again for a long time. So it's kind of come full circle now, and here I am with Dariusburst ACEX Plus. And I finally got the time to start digging into this game. As per usual, I wanted to share my first 1cc and share some tips as well as my general thoughts on it. So for starts, I'm actually going to be playing the first EX Plus event, New Assault, on the Cozmic Graveyard, which is one of the tougher challenges in the game, but far from the toughest. I picked it because honestly, I just really enjoy the music in this event, and I really wanted to try some of the brand new content as the EX Plus events are exclusive to this console port. So I started playing it and it just stuck with me, and it offered a nice challenge for a beginner. Now, while I was able to 1cc the original mode pretty quickly, this mode required me to really understand Dariusburst and my ship, the Murakumo, at a much deeper level, which was really fun. So I'm only going to give a brief overview and thoughts on Dariusburst. If you are looking for a review, I highly recommend checking out Boffner's channel. So I gotta say, I really love Dariusburst a lot more than I expected. While it won't dethrone Gaiden or G-Darius for me, this game has its very own tempo, its own rhythm, and its own style that allows it to stand alone, not just in the Darius series, but kind of on its own merits as a shmup. So first, some basics. As you can see, the game is presented in a 21:9 aspect ratio. It's basically two 16:9 screens side by side. As far as gameplay goes, you have a shot button, burst button, and a turn button. The turn button just allows you to face backwards in order to attack from both sides. Your basic shot has one rate of auto fire, standard for the entire game, and each red power-up increases it from missile to laser to wave, just like regular old Darius. However, this time, your opponents often fire the same bullet types as you, and if you match their bullet type, you cancel it. So, for example, if an enemy like Violent Ruler is firing yellow lasers, your own yellow lasers will cancel them out. This adds a nice touch of strategy to powering up that was honestly absent in G-Darius after it was introduced in Darius Gaiden. The game also has multiple completely unique ships, in a first for the series. There are several new ships with unique burst units, but also classic ships like the Genesis from G-Darius, the Gaiden from Darius Gaiden, and even ships from the original two arcade games. So each ship also has unique options and option formations that appear as you fill the burst gauge. And that's the most unique element, it's the burst mechanic. It's essentially a powerful weapon, often a laser, that can be fired by spending energy you earn from defeating enemies. Depending on the ship, it might be something you can flick on and off to conserve energy and use freely, or something more similar to a bomb or the Alpha Beam, where once you use it, you have to drain the gauge and refill it from scratch. As you defeat enemies with your burst attack, you can regain a tiny bit of your burst gauge. So if you use it in the right place, at the right time, you can maintain your laser for a very long period of time, allowing for impressive scoring opportunities. You can also counter with this burst laser, but it's way more challenging than G-Darius depending on the ship that you use. Recommended beginner ships are the Genesis, Gaiden, and Murakumo, and that last ship is why I think this version of Dariusburst is the best beginner version, as I believe the Murakumo is the greatest beginner ship. I'll explain why in the playthrough, so without further ado, let's begin the commentary. Alright, here we go. So, yeah, I picked the Murakumo ship here, and the main reason that I picked the murakumo ship is because of how its burst unit functions. So you're going to see here, I'm bursting right away, and the way that this ship works is if you hold down that burst button for, I'd say a second and a half or so, you kind of have to suss out the timing, and then let go, it'll explode. And that explosion is where the real damage is done, and it's where the scoring opportunity is. So any enemies that are killed with that get a better multiplier. So if you destroy a wave at the end with that explosion, you're going to get a much better score. But yeah, so this is a very flexible attack because you can hold it down and keep using it as a laser to take out hordes of these kind of popcorn enemies, or you can unleash it constantly to deal high damage. So it's very versatile, and it's also very easy to counter with, as you'll see here. I'm just going to hold this down. Doesn't even matter if I'm being hit from behind. Immediately a counter. You don't have to time the counter with this laser, which is great. Now, the flip side to that is it's still not doing a ton of damage just as a laser, but the explosion of the counter laser is quite powerful. So, as you'll see later on in the boss fights, I actually use that multiple times. So the boss will be firing off their laser, I'll counter and then explode, and then re-counter before it finishes firing off the laser. So, but that's not the only thing that's cool about like the burst mode, the burst unit on this ship. What's also cool is the options. So the options you can change by tapping the burst button. You can change the formation between a spread shot, a kind of option, Gradius option style trace shot, and a more standard kind of rotating option formation. But each formation shoots a different kind of bullet, which is really important for countering enemy bullets. So here, my options are gone. I just got them back, but I had to dodge for a bit, which is fine. You can also use the laser to cancel out bullets, which is pretty powerful. So right now it's in the trace formation. I just swapped it over to the circle formation. Right now I'm just trying to deal as much damage as possible with my burst unit with the laser and the explosion from it, and using that defensively to destroy those bullets that it's firing at me. But yeah, so that the way the options work means that it doesn't matter how much you upgrade this ship, you're always going to have the ability to counter enemy projectiles. So there you go, I was able to get 2 counters off of one laser because that's how the ship works. And that's great. The other thing about Dariusburst is, compared to G-Darius, compared to all the other Darius games, the missions are not the missions, but each run only consists of 3 stages instead of the usual 5 or 7. So it's really pretty easy to get into because doing a 1 credit clear is not super daunting, and you can really focus on optimizing and going for score and things like that. To counter that, there's just way more routes. There are so many. I mean, you don't have to start, they don't all start on A anymore. They have different starting points, so it feels like there's just so much content in this game. Because then on top of that, there's event mode, there's EX event mode. I haven't even talked about Chronicle mode, and this doesn't have the Chronicle Saviors mode that Chronicle Saviors has, which is like a 16:9 mode, and its own game mode. That's actually coming out on Switch this month. If you want on PS4, you can just get the original Chronicle Saviors. This stage has my favorite music in the game. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You do want to just be cognizant of how much burst meter you have and when to use it. Here I'm going to use this for a long time because all these waves and waves of popcorn enemies are going to refill it enough that I don't need to worry too much. As soon as they start fading out, I I go back to popping off those explosions. Because if you have too little burst gauge, you actually just can't use that. Like, there is a base minimum amount, and as you fill your burst gauge, you'll get more options. So, right, oh, I ran out of burst gauge, so now I gotta earn some options back. As soon as I have one option, I am able to do it again. So just some clutch dodging there. There we go. Got everyone back in burst mode. And you really want to be taking out those hordes of popcorn enemies, at least to maximize score. It's not like there's score extends in this game, at least not that I know of. But you want to be destroying as many as possible towards the end. And you have to destroy the whole group, but if you can pop off that explosion right as the wave of enemies is dissipating and kill them all with one final shot, then you'll get the most points. As I understand it. I'm no expert at scoring in this game. I just found it really fun. So here, yeah, you see I'm taking advantage of the laser shot to take out all those laser bullets. And also, of course, the burst laser, burst beam. And because I'm destroying so many projectiles and missiles and enemies with each of these explosions, I'm pretty much staying at full burst gauge the entire time. Which means that I'm playing this very differently than I would if I was playing as pretty much any other ship. Violent Ruler is a really fun boss, based off of, I forget what those things are called. Giant isopods? Yeah. I'm playing this on PS4, but I also have it on Switch, and I'm probably going to get it on PC. Okay, there's one laser explosion, two laser explosions. Oh, I messed up the timing on that. So I only got 3 where I could have gotten 4, probably even more if you optimize it right. But you do have to be careful about when you release the shot button. Here I took some hits I didn't need to if I had used my options correctly. Another thing you can do with those options is if you stop holding shot and you move, you can change the angle at which they fire, which I actually use in the next stage to useful effect. So yeah, I'm just deleting those shots with my options there, which is really useful, and then going back to laser when I can, just to maintain a high DPS. I see your options actually can get destroyed, so my 2 bottom options got destroyed, which does drain my burst meter, but I can still use it, so I'm not out of luck, and they will come back. Yeah, here I fanned out the my options to be a little wider there. I am also just playing for survival, not for score. I just find it so fun to muck around with that stuff. So here I am, I'm actually using the trace options to shoot through walls because they use the wave, they shoot wave, which is just really useful for this level. You're going to see I'm going to swap to that option a lot because there's a couple of good sections for it. Like right here, I can just take out those enemies before they even reach me and kind of stay covered. This section here, I also use them to shoot at an angle. I can actually shoot this option at a downwards angle, or any angle around me. Actually, I can shoot fully backwards as well with that one. which is really useful. So it's such a versatile ship. It takes some getting used to for sure. It's not like your usual shmup ship, but to me that just made it more interesting and exciting. Here I'm not bursting those because I want to save my burst for this section. So I can counter burst. And this is the trickiest section, I think, of this event, is these spinning, rotating things, because they're moving so fast. And if you hit any of those outer cannons or the center circle part, you will get hurt. So here I am, I'm just trying to rip through these as fast as possible. I'm swapping over to the missile so that my DPS is highest on these things, so I can try to break through them. You have to be pretty fast to pull this off. Pulling this off without getting hit as well would be really tough. And I can only imagine this would be much tougher with a different ship. I think I've only ever done it as well with the Genesis ship. There I just have to basically take those hits. So yeah, that's the toughest part, but getting through that, you're pretty much good. Get some nice shield power-ups there. Tons of popcorn enemies to pop off. Make sure you've got plenty of burst meter for these snake enemies that are quite annoying. But they go down after a couple of nice bursts. And then we're kind of in the clear until the boss, I believe. And the boss is the one, the only great thing. So yeah, if I wanted to, I could block those red bullets with my option fire, but it's much better for me to just keep up the lasers just to try to maximize my DPS. And by eating those bullets, I am refilling the laser as well. The burst gauge, I mean. Yeah, the burst laser does a lot of work here at destroying the homing missiles, destroying the homing lasers, destroying the suicide bullets on those kind of canisters he shoots out at you. It makes it a lot easier. Almost feels like cheating, honestly. Like, this ship is so good, in my opinion. It doesn't score super high, and yeah, its CPS isn't the greatest, but it's so good at kind of defending you. So these guys are going to shoot out a really brief laser, so you just got to be careful to get it, you know, early as possible. Careful, those purple lasers can shoot those at you as well. Some 90-degree turning lasers. More homing lasers, but they're pretty easy to dodge. And this part, be careful not to drain your laser here because you will need it. Just firing off these big missiles at you. You just want to make sure you've got good coverage of those bullets. You're timing your explosions right, and you're watching out for the purple lasers. And I think I make a deadly mistake right there, yep. There, I'm using the counter burst there to, you know, get 3. Oh, another unfortunate death, but I could have gotten 3 explosions off of that one counter burst, but it didn't quite work out. But it's all good. So yeah, that was my first 1cc of New Assault on the Cosmic Graveyard. It's a really fun stage, and I had a lot of fun getting that 1cc. Since then, I'm pretty sure I've done a no miss. I'd have to double check. It's been a while actually since I recorded this. But yeah, I really enjoyed the game. Definitely recommend checking it out. I definitely recommend starting with the Murakumo ship, as I do think it is the easiest to get your first 1cc. Happy shooting, everyone. Bye.